Hello, it's Anisha, and welcome to another episode of Magical Minds with Anisha Johal. I'll be spreading the magic by bringing you a series of inspirational interviews with some very magical minds to educate, empower, and encourage your magical mind. In this episode, I'm joined by Pav Johal, Director of the Education Suite, which is a tutoring company based here in the UK. I actually worked as an English tutor for the Education Suite, and I can certainly say that both of us love to make learning magical. Pav, welcome to Magical Minds.
Hello, Anisha. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
Yes, very well, thank you.
Thanks for joining us today. So can you start off by telling us a little bit about the Education Suite?
Okay, so the Education Suite is quite a new organisation. We started, I would say, in December 2019. That was when I left my full-time role as an assistant head teacher in rugby. And we started in the pandemic. So my aim was to set up something that connected well-being of young people with the idea of education. So I love teaching. Started off in the pandemic and basically developed a program whereby we're tutoring in English initially because that was my subject. Then we added a bit of maths, a bit of science, and then basically opened it up even broader so we can offer now every single subject in terms of tuition. We work with a lot of young people, young adults across the country and also abroad now. So that is one aspect of the Education Suite. I think the biggest thing is the reason why we set it up was to think about well-being, think about progression, and so that everyone can actually believe that they can become the best version of themselves.
That's amazing to hear how much it's grown, how you focused on English first and now you're offering a range of different subjects. But what I really like is the holistic approach to, learning and development, not just academically, but also personally for people from all over the world. So that's incredible. So what was the main magical moment that inspired you to create the Education Suite?
Okay, so I think I've always wanted to help people, and helping people with academia as well as their well-being is something that I really wanted to do. I run or have founded the Heera Foundation mental health charity as well. So when I started that in December 2017, I loved my work still, but it was almost not enough. I wanted to do something else, and hence the vision for the Education Suite began and created. In terms of magical moments with it now, it's just great to, take a risk, to leave a job that I'd been in for so long, and actually create something that continues to be developed. So having that vision and making it happen, I think, has been the biggest magical moment in terms of the organisation.
Totally, like starting off with the vision and then actually taking the action to create it and seeing what it's become today. I guess that must be a really fulfilling kind of feeling.
It's true, and that's not just with myself. I've got another director on board now as well. And, as you know, we've got an amazing team. And yeah, everyone's they share the same values as us. We want a team which is going to work with individuals and groups of learners at whatever age to get the best out of them. And when you can feel that spirit and energy, you can see it with the children that you work with, the young adults you work with. And there's so much creativity and innovation as well. So, everyone bounces off with different ideas and we think about what's going to make things even better. And hence you begin to thrive and flourish just from everybody else around you.
Totally, that's so true. Like the idea that you're always constantly evolving and developing, and then, seeing that end goal of this student actually finally learning something or getting great, results in school it's all very magical.
Yes, absolutely. And then we were successful with a funding bid as well. So we've led a programme called Looking Forward. So we targeted young women and enabled them, to remove barriers to learning, so that they can develop, they can think about their intrinsic motivation, external motivation, and really putting them on, that ladder for success. So looking at CVs and cover letters and, just making sure they're interview prepped and so on, and thinking about goals. That will make them, again, the best versions of themselves. So it's all about empowering minds. It's all about empowering a person to just develop and to keep evolving, like you said.
Oh wow, that's incredible to hear about that project. Like in society, women face loads of struggles, and it's great to see that you actually identified that and were proactive in, you know, resolving that through this program. So I really like how, it doesn't just focus on the academic studies, but also that, personal and skills development side too.
That's it.
So what is the main magical memory you have of the education suite so far?
Okay, I think I've already alluded to this, but starting something from scratch and having that vision and having that drive, and it hasn't just come from me, it's come from everyone surrounding me, and seeing that the education suite has so much potential for its clients, for its learners, and so on. And then I think you actually share so many magical moments within the team as well. So I think the work that you do, as you said, with individuals and seeing that spark of enthusiasm and the point where they've got something, and they understand it, and their belief and self-esteem has been developed, just really gives, a practitioner like myself and members of my team that moment where, yes, it's really rewarding. We've made the difference here. This is now their next step. This is what they can do. And they actually see their own personal growth. Okay. So we're thinking about, say, children who sit in SATs, children who are sitting entrance exams, whether it's GCSEs, whether it's entrance into college and so on. But, just being able to feed into their learning and development in a really positive way by the role modelling that we do, by the teaching that we do, it's really, really magical and fulfilling.
Totally. Like that sounds absolutely incredible to hear such like positivity and that impact that you're having on students. So what piece of advice would you give to all the magical minds, particularly the mini magical minds watching this episode?
Okay, so in general, then, it doesn't matter what your starting point is. Okay, you can become the best version of you. Okay, I think that self-belief is just so, so important. And also, if we think about learning and development in general, we're going to come across challenges. Learning is sticky, so to speak. Okay, we can get stuck, but it's okay to reach out. It's okay to turn to somebody, and it's okay to acknowledge that actually this is where I am now, but that's not my end point. Okay, your end point is, well, there's a world out there. The world is your oyster. So, the advice would be to the minds out there, magical minds, that we're all about development, we're all about empowering minds, we're all about developing and evolving. But for the mini minds, start thinking about what it is that you want to be doing, what it is that you enjoy, what are you passionate about, and what can you do, or what would you like to develop yourself in, to, well, become that person.
Those are some great questions, especially for, young kids to start thinking about. I think growing up, like you just kind of hear about what society expects you to go into, and you're not really aware of the different options. But it's great, to offer that advice to kind of young people to think about what direction they want to take their lives in. And like you said, reaching out if they're stuck or they need help or they need that guidance. It is out there, the education suite is a prime example of that, and just to kind of reach out.
And to have fun, along the
Yeah,
way.
that's so true.
It's so important to be happy, even when I think about your growth as well, in terms of when we first met and where you are now and all the projects that you're getting involved in, how exciting, and fair enough, you might find them difficult at the start, but that's part of growing as well, isn't it? So, yeah, really exciting times.
That's really true. You hit the nail on the head there. It is, I think, when you enjoy something, that's kind of your clue as to what your purpose in life is. And, like you said, growth is naturally comes with challenges, but it's all about how you overcome those challenges and those hurdles. And as long as you're having fun along the journey, that's, the best thing.
Yeah, I suppose the other thing is that you can make a change at any point as well. Sometimes we can get fixated in, oh, this is now my career path, this is what I need to do, or this is my journey, and so on. I did it at 40 something and thought, right, I need to make a change. And, looking on things now, 2.5 years later, I have learned so much. There are things that I'd never thought that I'd be able to, well, I needed to do or would have to do, and so on. And even if I found them a bit tricky, it's great, I can do it now. And now I'm thinking, right, what's the next challenge? What should I do next? Yeah. So it's all exciting.
That is incredible. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about your work before you founded the Education Suite? What were you doing in the years before?
Okay, so I've been in education for over 20 something years. Started off teaching English, loved teaching English, became, I think, a pastoral head at some point. So learning about the well-being of young people, how important that is. I've had various roles: house leader, head of faculty, assistant head teacher, leading literacy, leading, working with groups of young people to ensure that they are, developing and so on, inspiring staff. Well, I hope I've inspired a few actually, but, teaching the whole kind of pedagogical innovation, focusing on how to become a better teacher and so on. So that was my working career. And then in December 2017, I set up the Heera Foundation. That was due to a personal loss, I have to say, a mental health organisation. But Heera in Punjabi means diamonds. So the strapline became protecting the minds of our diamonds. And that's where I just wanted to then mix my love for learning with my love for well-being and reaching out to as many people. So in a nutshell, without me going on and on and on, Anisha, okay, that's where everything's come from. And I have to say, I've always loved my work. And I think that's so important. You've got to love it in order to breathe it and live it and move forwards with it. And I can say now that the Education Suite, also the Heera Foundation, I live and breathe. And it's something that I still want to, passionately develop, make more opportunities and just see what we can keep putting back into the community. So that was the other thing we did with the Education Suite. We made it a community interest company so that we can, therefore, look for funding that we can put back into developing and helping the most vulnerable within the community as well. So, as I said, very, very fulfilling. So many magical moments, Anisha, and exciting times ahead.
Your journey sounds absolutely fascinating. Like the amount of success you achieved in your professional career in teaching, and then now to, be at a stage where you can give back even more through, these two amazing, companies that you founded and the charity work that you do. And that's, really inspiring for not only me, but I guess a lot of our listeners will also resonate with that as well.
Thank
So
you.
you mentioned the Heera Foundation. Could you tell us a little bit more about that and what you do?
Okay, so I've touched upon it briefly. So the Heera Foundation is an organisation that raises awareness of mental health support and mindfulness within the community. So we set it up, to enable anybody within the community to reach out. We've got a mental health support card so that basically, if you were concerned about your anxiety levels or somebody else that you're concerned about, we can direct you and signpost you. That's developed really well now. We've got organisations that support us and we can put counselling in place and so on as well. So that's one aspect of it. We've also ran a development programme for women there. We are also encouraging men to speak mental health. So our project is called No Judgment. Okay, and we've got some amazing, amazing stories being told by men who've experienced mental health issues themselves, so that we are breaking stigma relating to mental health. We've got a wonderful children's project, in fact, as well, called Catching Dreams. So we've got these thought jars that we're putting into different schools. So we donate them to schools with an emotional literacy journal that we've created with the experts on the team, so that young people can talk mental health, can talk their thoughts, their feelings, think about coping strategies and so on. So lots of workshops we run there. And then loneliness projects, particularly through the pandemic. Vulnerable communities such as the elderly, such as those in residential homes. We've put wellbeing packs together, also the homeless as well, wellbeing packs, making sure that we're giving something back that can support their well-being, but also, the basics and necessities in life as well. So much happening. And I'm working with the team this year about, how we're pushing our projects even further. And it's just lovely to see, my team are amazing. That's all I can say. It's not me who does this, it's them. Just that passion, and that's done purely on a voluntary basis.
Wow, you certainly do sound so passionate about everything that you do, and those 4 projects that you've shared with us. It's great to see that you're identifying, specific issues within the community like women's empowerment, men's mental health, the elderly, children, and actually really honing in on those areas. So could you tell us a bit about what made you choose those different areas?
Okay, so I think we started off with the mental health support card. That's generic for everybody, where we've done the research saying if you've got, these kind of symptoms, this is where you turn and so on. But as then we developed, so for example, connecting with organisations called Papyrus, Mind, Kaleidoscope, My Solution Wellbeing. So these are all counselling and, where we've got the free support, but then the paid support as well. That obviously evolved in, when we have phone calls to, it would be, oh, can I actually have help now? And I'm happy to pay. So we can connect people. Okay, so it's all about people reaching out and connecting people. The other projects, the elderly. So thinking about, in the pandemic, we didn't stop as an organisation, the Heera Foundation and the Education Suite. We were still thinking about how can we support, what can we do, hence our social media being so active. But then vulnerable members of the community in terms of elderly and residents in residential homes, they were having no contact with anybody during that time. So we did put packs together and we did go out, to ensure that they had someone to speak to and so on, which kind of gave us that, at least there was someone there for them to speak to. In addition to that, we had lots of virtual activities. I think we had one for Valentine's Day, make your own card or things like that, which again, we kind of shared with these residential homes, etc., virtually. So you had people engaged in activities in their own homes or in the homes themselves, and, something for them to do, someone to speak to and so on. The catching dreams, I have to say, me being in education for so long, I just think, most mental health issues, well, actually, this is a fact, they start at a certain young age. So, they may not come out at that point. They may come out in adult life later. But if we can give young people the tools to work through, thoughts, feelings, and actually feel confident about talking about it. I feel angry today, and this is what I now need to do to sort it, and so on and so forth. I think it's really important. So we've led personal development sessions, workshops, and so on to encourage young people to talk exam stress, how they might be feeling, relationship issues, problems at home, so all of these things that are normal. We're saying it's okay not to be okay, but let's kind of now put words to it. Let's see what we can do to kind of de-stress you, to kind of give you the tools to enhance yourselves and develop, because there's always going to be ups and downs in life. Mental health is what it is. We've all got an element of it, but it's when it becomes overwhelming, that's when we all need this toolkit. The women's, well, being a woman myself and being really quiet when I was growing up, I have to say, I know, surprisingly, but just thinking about, okay, if I'd had that guidance that this was stressing me out, what would I have done about it? At that particular time growing up, I probably just kind of carried on with, best carry on revising in this way and so on, or this is how you do an application and so on. Whereas the programme is all about finding that motivation and actually thinking bigger than where you are, which I think is really important. It actually kind of builds your aspiration. Some of us are really lucky. We've got families and friends that push us in that direction and so on. But there are so many communities and young people out there who haven't got that guidance. So they rely on schools and colleges to give them that advice, which they do. But then this was something else that kind of, pushed them in the right direction. And also the minute someone's worked with us, we're there. They can contact us at any point. There's somebody within the team at the moment who now wishes to become, within the TES team, a teacher herself. So we're working on personal statements and making sure it's right for her to, move forwards in her career as well. So many opportunities. And the men's one, if you think about it, as I said, I lost somebody really, really dear to me, the Heera Foundation. And then men don't generally talk mental health, or they've got a different way of communicating, understanding it. But I think the more we talk about it with our No Judgment project, the more it's out there. As I said to you, the amount of stories that, men have actually brought forwards where they've lost someone to suicide, or they've suffered addiction, whether drug or alcohol, or whether they've had huge depression, anxiety, for people to be talking about it openly and for us to kind of put that out on our social media is actually gaining so much interest and engagement. We're not expecting everyone to like or whatever, but the fact that they've watched it is a message in itself, that actually lots of people get stuck like this. Lots of people may, particularly men, may get overwhelmed, but there is a way out, there is a way forward. And it's not the dark way out that we want. It's that positive, let's rethink, let's regroup and actually there is help out there. So yeah, I hope that covers everything in a bit of a nutshell there, Anisha.
Yeah, that all sounds so like super innovative. And what I really liked about what you just said is finding the light way out of the dark. And, that just brought an image to mind of the education suite and the Heera Foundation being like the light in the dark. Like, in
Yeah.
humanity, we're going through a lot with COVID and all these other issues that are happening around the world. And for you to actually, recognize that and be the light, give people a solution and help them to become better is just really inspiring to hear. So thanks for sharing about that.
No worries. And I suppose the last thing I wanted to say, sorry, this is where I can keep on talking,
It's okay.
but the two organisations are, connected.
Yeah.
And obviously the symbol of the Heera, diamond, this is what we'll say when we're out on any presentations and so on. You are unique, you are precious, you are valued, and the world is a better place with you. So just something as simple as that whole symbolism, I think it's part of the Heera Foundation, that everybody is so important, even if you're feeling a bit low yourselves, and again, with the education suite, you are this. So you've got to find your place in the world, okay, and actually beam and shine. So there's so much opportunity and so much positivity. It's unbelievable, despite, I'd say, the starting points of the organisations.
I love like the ethos behind both organizations and like Heera as well, the logo, the imagery, and how you perfectly just explained, the symbolism. That's just incredible to hear about, how every little detail of everything you've created is a lot of thought and effort has been put into it.
Thank you, Anisha. It's always nice to hear that as well. So that's what we believe in, both teams. Yeah. And yeah, still excited. And that's the way forward, isn't it?
So we've been in a pandemic for a while now. What would you say has been the biggest challenge for both of your organisations or yourself, and how have you overcome them?
Okay, I think the biggest challenge was, I'll start with the education suite. I'd literally just come out of my full-time job and thought, right, I'm really excited. I remember saying 2020 is my year, knowing that there's these rumours about the pandemic. It felt like rumours at the time, but sometimes you don't see it yourself, do you? And then they thought, well, I can't do anything other than I've got to come up with plan B. Okay, plan B has to be just tuition, see what you can do, and so on. So I think the biggest challenge was, can I do it? I remember feeling really anxious and nervous myself. I've got 2 dependents. Where do I start? What do I do? Why did I make this decision now? Having said that, though, I think with the support of family, friends, and just having that mindset of I've got to do it, and that resilience, just had to get on. So the biggest challenge was I've got to find work. Okay, I've done this for a reason, and I want to make this a success. Let's move forwards. And that was hard at that time because everything was shut down. But I think the positive was learning. I'd led on innovation at school, at work as well, a whole project to do with G Suite, remote learning. And then I thought, there's nothing is stopping me. Let's see what we can do. And I think that whole approach to let's see what I can do, even if it's something little to begin with, let's go with it. And that's what happened there. With the Heera Foundation, obviously, we've always been out in the community, distributing our cards, leading presentations, workshops, and so on. But because I think I had the virtual side of the education suite of my experience there with work, just did the same. So I've just written the last financial report, as well as what the Heera Foundation did last year in terms of meeting our objectives. And you know what, it was such a fulfilling experience. I mean, not many people say that writing a report, but not the academic year, so the last year for the Heera Foundation during the pandemic actually identifies how we took that virtual world, and embraced it. Our posts that went out regarding COVID anxieties, COVID conversations, tackling whatever it was, the drop-in sessions that we organised virtually. We even had baking sessions, art therapy sessions, competitions, and so on. We just worked in a virtual world. There was something else we did as well. We also had a team of people, creating the necessity packs for the NHS and so on. So we just did whatever we could do to get the mental health support card out there. But again, creatively, innovatively, we made it happen. So I'm so proud of my team when I look back now. And that's where all the energy and creativity came as well. The projects that we've ran so successfully have been amazing. You know, the pilots that we've ran to try and get us funding, you know, everything happened. And that was us meeting like this, to the point where with some members, now that I've met them after lockdown, it's like, oh, I've met them for the first time, you know, in person, because you get so used to working in this way. So all in all, really, really positive and so forthcoming. So I hope I, you know, answered your question.
Yeah, no, it sounds like you've been super productive throughout the pandemic and proper in the flow. I think during the pandemic, especially at the start, people kind of faced this blockage, this barrier. There was just kind of a pause, but you've done a lot in the pandemic. It sounds like it's flowed so well. It's been so creative as well, and, you know, supporting NHS workers. And I don't know how you have the time to do all that. You must be superwoman.
I'm not sure about that, but as I said, you know something, I have got an amazing team, whether I say team Heera Foundation or team Education Suite. And it's a credit to those members who actually share the vision, share the values, and really believe in what we want to be doing, which is empowering minds and making lives better.
Totally. So my final question for you is, how can viewers be part of the magic that you're making?
Okay, so both organisations, Nisha, they can contact us. We're on all social media, our websites, telephone numbers, charity number, everything is out there. Okay, so, you know, quick message here, even if they want to pick the phone up and have a conversation. We coach so many parents as well. It's unbelievable, you know. So, yeah, there's no reason why anyone can't get in touch with us, because we're out there and we love it.
Great. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been amazing to talk to you.
And you as well, Anisha.
That was this week's inspirational interview with Pav Johal from the Education Suite and the Heera Foundation. Stay tuned for another Magical Minds with Anisha Johal show coming soon. But for now, enjoy making magic moments with your magical mind.